Hi guys, this is Mario. Welcome to my DCS settings walkthrough of my second session and the third image. As you see, we are sitting in a BF109 flying towards the coast. But many of the options, as you will see, will not have a big effect. Anyway, we will go through them and you can at least observe the influence on the performance. So the first option I will show is again the DLAA, which I will switch on now. And as expected, and as always a little bit more blurry, the only very interesting thing here is now that this airplane here is getting some kind of shadow, which really looks a little bit odd. So when I'm going back to normal, you see that it disappears, and with DLAA it's getting this shadow. The other airplane does not have this effect, but this, which is also far away, also has this effect. Next one, back to default. Then MSAA off, performance getting up, everything's getting edgy. MSAA 4 times, back to default. Next one will be MSAA 2 times. Also looks quite okay. If we maybe look at this airplane situation here, going back to default off, you see that it's really not that nice. Default 2 times, default. I think it's easy to see the differences. Next will be the upscaling. Now going to quality now. It actually looks okay. Let's check some details. Again, this aircraft getting some kind of shadow. Switching off and on again. What's also interesting, the details in the city when we check this one here. So now that's with DLSS. I'm switching it off and on again. So you before you can clearly identify the cranes, and with DLSS it's a little bit harder. Now switching to balanced, then performance and high performance. And here again you have the issue that you cannot really identify the other airplanes when they're a little bit more far away. Going back to default. Next one will be the sharpening. 0.3, 0.6 and 0.1. And we check again the cranes and the buildings. Yeah, that's what I meant in the other videos. It's a little bit of edgy now. Going back to 0.6, 0.3. There might be good reasons to have it at least at 0.3 or 0.6, but 1 is definitely too much. Going back to default. Next one will be the textures. So default is high, the next one will be low. And there you see already the effect in the aircraft. It's really getting very washed textures. Going back to medium and back to high. And as you maybe could observe, the performance has no changes. Next one will be the terrain textures. We don't see anything on min, on max. Next one will be the shadows. First will be off, so everything will get very bright. Going to flat only, low, medium and high. Next one, blur flat shadows, will not be visible a lot here. Then the secondary shadows, also no big effect in this position. Screen space shadows turning on. A little bit better when I zoom in here to the trees. I'm now switching it off again. now on. So you see that the tree is making more shadows. Off now. Next one will be the visible range. Now currently the default is ultra, switching now to low. And you see that most of the things disappear on the screen. Medium. High. Ultra. It's actually very good already. And the next one will be extreme. You will see something here happening now. So a little bit more to see. If we zoom in, going back to ultra, is that the trees here disappear. Extreme again, and ultra, default. Next one will be the clouds. Next one will be low. Please observe the clouds here. You will see that some details getting lost. Next one will be medium. And there you already see that most of the details came back. Next one will be high. That's the default. Next one with ultra. I still don't see any difference, but you lose 10 FPS. Next one, high, it's the default. Next one will be the water. Currently default on high. Let's check what's making low. Looks the same. Medium looks the same. And high again, the default. Next one is the screen space ambient occlusion, currently off, switching it now on. You see a little bit in the cockpit getting darker, and you see the performance completely dropping. So I'm switching it off again. So from 135 to 118 on low, and switching to high, going down even to 108, and still I don't see any difference between high and low. Switching it off again. Next one, screen space local reflections. No effect in this situation. Off again. Next one, lens effect, currently none. Dirt, lens effect, and flare, no real difference. And none again. Heat blur, we don't have any, so going fast over it. Now it's off, low, high, and default is off. Depth of field, broken, simple, off, no difference. Canopy reflections, that's it a little bit more interesting. So currently the default is 2.1, so it's high, kind of high. And you see it here on the top right. Now I'm switching it off. And you lose the canopy reflections, of course. Might help sometimes because it can really bother on fighting, especially on World War II. Switching it to 0.25. Next one will be 0.5, and the next one will be 1 again. Next one, volumetric lightning. Will not have an effect, switching it off and on again. Grass and clutter has no effect on this height. Going fast over it, also on the performance, 250, 500, 750, 1000 and 1500 default. Forest visibility, so currently on 100%, going now to 0. And of course, all the trees disappear. Next one will be 25, then 50, 75, and back to 100. Next one, forest details, of course, on this distance, no big effect. Currently default is 1.0, going to 0, 0.25, 0.5, and 0.75, and back to default 1. Scenery details also has no real effect on this distances. 0, 0.5, 0.75, 1. The chimney smoke density also not interesting. Going fast over it, 1, 10, 5, no difference, also not in performance. LOD multiplier, default is 2, now switching to 0.1, 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, so no difference. Next one, anisotropic filtering, default is 8 still, going now off. So it's really hard to say if anything changes going here to this. Switching back to default. It's 8. Now switching it off. No, there's actually no difference. 0.2, no. 2 times. 4 times. 8 times. And 16 times. Back to default. 8 times. The terrain object shadows, more interesting, but in this perspective I think there will not be many effects. Let's check. Going to flat, going to off, and back to default. Hard to see. Global cockpit illumination, turning off, back on. So currently in that situation, no big effect. And also the rain droplets, of course, as we don't have rain, has no effect. So that's it for the third image. The next one will show an FA-18 on a carrier in the rain on the deck. So stay tuned.